I'm joined here with Eric Kooma from the PRESERVE project in Kafue in Zambia. This is an Irish aid-funded project implemented by one of our long-term project partners, Self-Help Africa. Eric, thank you so much for making the time to talk with ChangeMakers Donegal this evening.
You're welcome. Thank you for the invitation.
Good. So look, we have a few questions for you, Eric. The purpose of these conversations is to acknowledge that, by acting at a local level, local communities have the power to tackle complex global issues. And by sharing our stories, we acknowledge our interconnectedness in the world. So let's jump in. Question one for you, Eric. What are the biggest challenges facing your community today? And what is the impact of those challenges on the local people?
Yes, thank you. There are several challenges that are affecting our communities, and these challenges, they are not only, endemic to Kafue floods in Monze district where the project is being implemented, but you find that actually they occur countrywide. So there are some similarities actually from different experiences across the country, and some of these challenges, they include, limited access to basic services. There's a lack of access to basic services such as clean water, sanitation, healthcare, and education. And this results in poor health outcomes. There are also low literacy levels and limited opportunities for economic development. And we also have food and nutrition insecurity. Many rural areas face food and nutrition insecurity due to several factors, and these factors they include limited access to good quality agricultural inputs, the unpredictable weather patterns which have been brought about the climate change, the lack of modern farming techniques and equipment, and they've got all these factors combined. They've got an adverse impact on the agricultural production, and eventually they will lead to low productivity and malnutrition in the communities. So we also have challenges with access to financial services. Many rural communities have limited access to financial services such as banking, credit, and insurance. So this hinders entrepreneurship, investment, and growth in those rural communities. And we've got challenges with environmental degradation. There's a lot of unregulated deforestation going on in our rural communities. There's also unsustainable agricultural practices being done by our rural communities, and we've got inadequate waste management initiatives in these rural communities, which lead to environmental degradation. So ultimately, all these combined, you see that they will lead to soil erosion and loss of biodiversity and decreased agricultural productivity in these rural communities. We've got this is in as much as it is seen in Kafue Preserve 2 operation areas. I think this is a global challenge, the climate change in itself. Climate change has come about with a lot of other side effects on our communities. We've seen in the recent past prolonged dry spells during rain season, and the increased frequency and intensity of floods in some of these areas where we operate from. This has affected agricultural activities and livelihoods for the communities. So we've got some limited, infrastructure in these rural areas. This hampers economic development because of limited access to markets and provision of essential services due to limited infrastructure. Due to limited infrastructure such as roads in these rural communities. Then we also have water scarcity. Much of the freshwater bodies in Africa actually they lie in Zambia, but our rural communities, they still face challenges with the accessing water, clean water. So this leads to waterborne disease and decreased productivity. So those are some of the challenges that I can highlight, which are prevalent in some of the operation areas along the Kafue Preserve project. Thank you.
Thank you for outlining those. They're so layered and interlinked, and so it's really interesting to hear how challenging that is. So then moving towards, what's happening in these rural communities along the river to tackle some of these complex challenges. What initiatives have you seen implemented to tackle some of these issues?
Okay, thank you. We are, as Self-Help Africa, we are implementing some of the initiatives that we can as an organization and as a project. And we also have partners. We don't work in isolation, but we work with different partners and organizations in implementing some of the activities to address some of the challenges that our communities are facing. And some of the initiatives that are on the ground are the promotion of sustainable agricultural practices. These include provision of training and resources for farmers to adopt climate smart techniques, such as conservation agriculture and agroforestry to increase productivity and the soil health. So we also have some initiative where we are creating, where we want to, create a seed system among our communities. I think I did mention in our earlier discussion that our communities are they've got challenges with accessing good quality agricultural inputs. So to address that one, we've come up with what we call seed system at local community level, where we train with a statutory body, the government statutory body. We train farmers to be seed growers so that they can provide the communities with good quality seed inputs. And some of the initiatives include the community-based natural resource management, which we are doing, which is actually one of the key areas of our intervention at in PRESERVE Kafue 2 project. So under the community-based natural resource management, we are working with the local communities to develop and implement community-based natural resource management plans. So this involves empowering communities to manage their own resources, their own natural resources sustainably. So these include fisheries, wetlands, and forests to ensure long-term environmental preservation and social economic benefits. So we also have initiative in climate change adaptation and resilience. So here, we are trying to build the resilience to climate change impacts in communities that we are working with. So these initiatives, they include the provision of trainings and resources to climate change adaptation strategies, such as sustainable land and water management, early warning systems, and natural resource conservations. Particularly the early warning systems, I think there's another project just close to PRESERVE Kafue project, where we've installed several rain gauges, and we are hoping that in due course we'll also extend these services to PRESERVE Kafue 2, so where we are going to install several rain gauges for the communities to monitor the rainfall pattern and plan according to the prevailing rainfall pattern for the agricultural planting seasons. Then we've got initiatives in income generating activities and value chain development, where we are supporting rural communities in developing income generating activities and enhancing value chains. So we are providing training and startup inputs for small scale farmers to improve crop and livestock productivity. We are also assisting in assessing markets and processing facilities for their products. Then we've got also some initiative to create, financial access for the rural communities. So we are doing this through a model we call accumulating savings and credit associations. So these are basically what we call village savings groups. So this is one of the initiatives that we have seen that actually It's helping the communities by provision of credit for their agricultural inputs, for their small businesses, and the like. So those are some of the initiatives that we are doing on the Kafue Preserve project. But other than that, we've got other organizations that are also working in the area, which are implementing services that may be of interest to you, such as the WASH programs. That is the sanitation, the provision of clean water and sanitation facilities to rural communities in the Preserve Kafue area. And we also have organizations who are also in health and in nutrition programs, who are implementing initiatives to do with provision of maternal and child health programs, along with promoting nutrition and education support for vulnerable groups, such as pregnant women and young children. So those are some interventions that are going on there.
Yes. So that's excellent. So you've given us that kind of overview on how the challenges are there and the solutions are being locked on. Could you take us down to a kind of a more personal level and tell us about, for example, a family or a farmer or someone in a vulnerable group who has been impacted by one of those projects and who stands out for you, what their circumstances are? Does anyone come to mind?
Yes, we've got several farmers actually that can attest and can provide testimonies to the good work that we've been doing on the ground. Particularly under Preserve 2, I will mention the name of I've forgotten the name of this farmer. She's the lead farmer. She's also a seed grower at the same time. She's at the time we engaged her as a project. She's coming from a family of about I think there are about 7 in the family, and she's one of the, she must be, if my memory serves me right, she should be the last born. When you go on our website, actually she's the one who is addressing the fellow farmers on our, yes, when you go on our website. So that farmer is a seed grower, and at the time we engaged her, she had nothing, like literally nothing. She was living in a hut, in a makeshift hut. But this time around, she started, she joined as a seed grower. She's been in the seed growing business for about 2 to 3 years. And through that initiative, because the seed growing initiative, like I mentioned, we are working with a statutory board which we call Seed Control and Certification Institute, which is mandated to look at the affairs of the seed system in the country. So those are the people that actually we engaged. They trained them, and when they produce seed, they are given certificate. Through those certificates, they're able to sell to different markets, including seed companies. They can go and buy the seed, which they will in turn package and resell at a higher fee. But the good part about the seed system is that the produce is sold as seed and not as commercial grain, and the markup for the seed is quite substantial, such that these farmers actually, they've been making substantial profits. So from the profits that she gained, she's been able actually to multiply her livestock production. She's been able, this time as I speak, she's built a house. I think it's about, from a hut, a simple hut. She's built a house which is roofed, and I think it's about 5-roomed house with modern roofing sheets. That is iron sheets. And in terms of the livestock production, she's got several chickens. She's got several several goats. So those are some of the interventions that she's engaged from the profits that she's from the benefits that she's gotten from the from the project. So we can see some improvement actually, and there are several of such women and men that have similar testimonies on the project.
Yes, well, that's great, and it's so nice you can see your eyes smiling as you tell the story about her. So that's great, and we will look at some of the photos at the end of this video so our audience can see some of the work happening on the ground.
All right.
Okay, Eric, so if we're just to move on and think a little bit about our audience that are gathered here with myself and Kate, my colleague at ChangeMakers this evening, we have gathered online the community of volunteers who care about their locality and the world. And, you know, why is it in your experience with Self-Help Africa, why is it crucial that we connect local issues to global issues in today's world? Why is that connecting the dots, joining the dots, so important?
Yeah, thank you very much, Amira. When you look at, you know, these issues around the world at local level and at global level, you know, there's some kind of connected. So what I mean is that, you know, there are certain local issues that you can actually relate to the global sphere. Some local issues actually they tend to affect or they have global consequences, and the global issues often have you know, local implications. I'll give an example of the current trend in climate change. You know, the climate change and pandemics. As an example, are global issues that can directly affect local communities. Recently, I think we are just coming from the COVID, which was a global issue, but at community level, it also had some, you know, serious impacts. So there's that interconnection between the global and the local issues. So, and when you look at these local issues, they will connect to the global context, and it becomes evident that individuals and communities must take responsibility for their actions. And by so doing, actually, they can contribute to a larger global cause. And when it comes to policy issues, at local level, we've got, you know, at national level, we've got what we call policymakers. So connecting local issues to the global level allows policymakers to consider, you know, multiple perspectives and global trends and natural or rather mutual dependencies. So policymakers can in turn develop more effective policies and regulations that account for their global and local impacts. That's how I can relate that question.
Yeah, I
Yes.
like what you said there about taking responsibility, and then that acknowledgement of the role of policymakers, but also as, for us as active citizens to remember to influence policy. Thank you for that. So as we finish up, Eric, again, thinking of, you know, I suppose your peers here in Donegal in the northwest of Ireland, the members of our Seeds of Change community, what would your message be to them to encourage them and to tell them to keep doing their sustainability and change projects? What would you like to say to them to encourage them?
Yeah, you know, it's exciting to know that actually there are a lot of people out there that are willing to work for the good, for the common cause of, you know, our communities. I just want to encourage them to continue to push forward. I know there are challenges along their, you know, along their endeavors, and I want to recognize their compassion and you know, their compassion and their developmental efforts to which they are doing. You know, those they've got the ability to touch many lives and create, you know, a ripple effect of positivity on our communities. So their passion and their resilience are what makes, you know, makes them a valuable member of our global community. So I just want to thank them for their commitment to a betterment of our community and the global community at large.